Right, very quickly, look at one of these potential questions that could come up in paper 3 this year on the pre-release. So when you look at figure 1 on the second page, you'll see there's this whole idea about where waste is going from the UK. Now, I've prepared a very quick question. We're not guaranteeing that this is going to come up, but very quickly, let's have a quick look. So you can see from the figure that actually we're sending off a lot of our wasteware abroad to where Malaysia, Turkey, Poland, Indonesia, and that, you can have a quick read in terms of what the issue is. A lot of it being sent to China, but China recently was saying, no, we don't want your stuff anymore because a lot of it is contaminated. So very quickly, it says assess the impacts, or you could say what's the issue, or discuss the impacts of sending waste abroad, or the impact on LICs. If you see that, then these are some of the points you just need to really go into. First of all, it's an assess question, and when a question comes up saying assess the impacts, you lot will automatically assume it's quite a negative thing, but I'm going to show you assess or discuss usually means good and bad. So first of all, sending waste abroad for that host country isn't always a bad thing for them. For they see a lot of the time as economic opportunities. So if we were to send all our plastic waste abroad, you need to understand that actually it does create a lot of job opportunities over there. Let's, for example, what are some of the job opportunities? Processing, recycling. So make sure you say that, it creates a lot of job opportunities over there. Therefore, it provides a stable income for many of these people in LICs, NEEs, who already work in informal economies. In terms of, let's say, having more income, it can increase taxes, and therefore the money used by the local government to improve schools. So there are multiple benefits. Also, not just that, but a lot of the countries that taking on this waste will receive money for it. So again, you just need to mention it in that economic sense, that actually a lot of that can be spent on infrastructure such as roads and ports, triggering the multiplier effect. But we know that, again, assessing, we know there's a lot of negative towards that, and that's more environmental, isn't it? So read that point over there. It says 9.5 million tons of metal and 4.5 million tons of waste was exported and recycled abroad. So actually 9.5 million is non-recyclable. Okay, so that's not recycled. So therefore a lot of it is contaminated, which you need to state. Now, what's wrong if it's contaminated? Well, actually, it will be sent to landfill sites, and a lot of it, when burnt, will release toxic gases. So rotting rubbish from landfills release methane, and mention that, it's going to impact Malaysia, Turkey. Actually state the country names. But also, it can contaminate groundwater and soil. And a lot of it, if you talk about when it's burnt, releasing toxic fumes, it can increase the risk of people having respiratory illnesses. And if you mention over here very quickly from Friends of the Earth International, right, one last question. If you could see in your figure 1, you will see this thing over here, which talks about how the UK can move towards a more sustainable waste economy. So our waste could have a different purpose instead of going through this normal system of where when the actual product is made through the raw materials, we use it. Let's say, I don't know, a shampoo bottle is made, we use the shampoo and we bin it. Why don't we move towards a more circular waste material where after we've used it, instead of just binning it straight away, there is a purpose for it. Let's say a repair or reuse system, or kind of like a recycle system, and that way it is much more sustainable for humans and for the environment. So the potential question that you might see on Tuesday is explain the importance of moving towards a more sustainable waste economy. So why is it important to go towards this kind of model, this more sustainable waste economy? Or it could ask you, explain why it's better to move towards a circular waste economy. So the 3 main arguments that you could easily give, well, first of all, if you move towards a more circular waste system, like actually say that in your answer, that it will mean that we therefore send less to landfill sites and incineration centers. Okay, so and again, it's very easy to explain the benefits of why we should not send them over to landfill incineration. So you could always argue that, it will mean less air pollution, because first of all, incineration obviously burns it. There could be lots of harmful chemicals being released into the atmosphere. And also with landfill, obviously we have the reduced risk of people falling ill, in the sense as though the quality of air will be much cleaner because you won't have, like, let's say, the methane being released from rotting rubbish, and then therefore the ground and soil won't be as contaminated. So that's one argument. That should be roughly about 2 marks there. Make that quick. Don't write loads about it. Move on to another thing of why it's important to go towards this to this sustainable system. Well, you could argue that actually it's an important opportunity now with waste. Instead of binning it, you can now repair and reuse it. Think about laptops and mobile phones. If you were to buy an app, like let's say a new iPhone right now, they'll tell you that actually you could buy a refurbished one for much more cheaper. So many people actually don't need to buy a brand new laptop and phone. They could buy a refurbished one, which is about £200-400 cheaper. Now, again, remember, sustainability and sustainable, it's not just environmental, it's social and economics. Socially, it benefits consumers. You know, me, if I was to buy some goods, you could easily argue that benefits consumers as goods will be cheaper. But also think about now there's a new market for people to repair items and goods. So actually it's created a lot of jobs in that kind of repair and reuse area, and even recycle part. And the last argument you can make is that actually, if you read this part carefully, is that where is it? Things are easily and cheaply repaired now, and they're made out of materials that can be totally recycled. So you could say that actually products now are being made, instead of from raw materials, they're being now made from totally recycled materials. What's the benefit of that? Is it reduces the use of raw materials, and let's say those raw materials won't eventually run out now. Okay, we're protecting those materials for long-term use. So now we've got raw materials that could potentially last for future generations. Guys, this should be a question. I'm almost kind of pretty sure that you'll have something along the line, why should we move towards a more sustainable waste economy? Easy argument. Talk about the whole benefits of not sending it to landfills and incinerations. Talk about how it's an economic opportunity for consumers. Socially, people are happier that they can buy cheaper goods. And also, lastly, that it prevents raw materials from running out.